Welcome back, everybody. Automotive Inc. Today we are doing the walk around out at the Detroit Auto Show, and we got a good chance to check out the 2025 RAM HD trucks and what big changes they have. And this here is a 5500, and as we just take a stroll around the truck itself, we can actually see that the door skins, everything has basically stayed the same. We do know now that the Torque Flight 8-speed is in fact backing that Cummins Diesel. But, for all in all, the body itself has stayed the same. You take a look here at the headlights. This was one of the changes. They did kind of sculpt the grill out. And take it for what it's worth, those headlights are smaller than they were last year. And I'm not a big fan. They got a larger turn signal and a daytime running lamp. Big change here would be the Cummins changes. We have that external cartridge filter, which is in the upright position. Of course, glow plugs, enhanced Holset turbo. As you come into the inside, we can see that for the most part, it's really stayed the same. I will tell you, I think the leather's changed a little bit. Now this is going to be the new 12-inch digital to screen. It's decent. But all in all, everything has basically stayed the same. They did kind of change up the door switches a smidge. And again, I'm not all about these digital gauges, but at the end of the day, they aren't bad. Now this is going to be a limited night edition, so you can kind of see the headlight again. It is a very small headlight. Lot of piano black on this front end, which is going to scratch up, and that RAM emblem was really cheesy and plasticky feeling, But same thing with those engine strut bars that cross over, just really flimsy feeling. And I really feel like they've really cut some corners here. They even cut back the actual hood insulation. One big thing they did add here was 22-inch load range E-tires. Talk about an expensive piece of rubber to have to replace. The rims are okay for this year. They didn't change a whole lot when it comes to that. But again, 22-inch, it looks really thin. Doesn't look super beefy. And again, your OEM tire is going to be the Firestone on most models. But, as you walk on this thing, again, that ram is now little obliques that are actually snapped into the grill. And we all know how black paint kind of holds up, but that grill is a whole lot of shiny black plastic. One other thing they did do, they did revamp the tail lights. I can get behind that. They do look nicer than the previous year tail lights. However, ram box stays, the bed size stays the same. And the bed itself, all those angles now stay the same also. So still running the 5-link rear coil. And you can see the bumpers have stayed the same, but you can see right there how the actual tail lamps kind of go. I am a big fan of the ram box. I think it's a very useful piece of the inside of the bed area where the wheel well is. That has pretty much stayed the same as it always has. It's lit, has drains. As we climb inside, you're going to see that everything basically has stayed the same. This is a mega cab, so it is the largest cab in the class, but it will cut into your payload, especially if you're on a 2500. Very similar door stitching, same oblique placements. Look at the door storage, all the same. Door handles still the same. Like I said, they upgraded the switches a little bit on the door switches themselves. But, at the end of the day, not a lot of changes. This is the Laramie Longhorn. Again, similar, if not identical, headlight placement. Same fender lines. Now, on this specific one, they do have Goodyears. That would be an upgrade over the Nexans, although I had Nexans on several of my trucks, and they were just fine. But the Alcoa wheels are the same. And really, the biggest changes would be the ZF 8-speed and then the upgrades to the Cummins, if you consider those upgrades. I don't really like glow plugs as much as I like the grid heater. And but the placement of the fuel filters being in the easier position to get to, that's pretty good. But I mean, at the end of the day, these price points, took some shots of these window obliques where they put the information on there. And at the end of the day, it's not a lot changed. But I think guys that did not like the 68 RFE, and the ASIN was a more strong shifting point type transmission, if you weren't a fan of that one, then you probably will like the ZF8. We're going to try and get in one here, but at 90 Gs, I'm not seeing a big enough difference in the models. Same bed on the dually. It is a really sharp looking dually bed of all the ones in the class, but exactly the same as it always was. Again, same Alcoa wheels, so nothing crazy there, you know. And at the end of the day, they didn't really need to change too much, but I do think they should have changed the cab and the belt trims and everything like that. This being the 8-foot bed, it does have the Mopar puck system that's coming back for 2025. That's great. That is an awesome feature. This is your Laramie Longhorn tail lamp, tailgate. I'm not a fan of the ram across the back either. They should have left a little ram head, but same bumpers, you know, same things that you'll normally see on there. Some of the things have been upgraded to a little bit more LEDs, but at the end of the day, tailgate's the same. I know somebody said it's changed from last year. It really looks identical to it, other than the ram across it versus the actual ram head. But, you know, a little few more LED accents, but nothing really changes from the Longhorn to the Limited. And the Laramie and the Bighorn will have different tail lamp assemblies. And all the models still carry over. They're still going to have Bighorn, Limited, Laramie, and everything. Interesting enough, as you walk around the front of this, a lot of ABS plastic chrome, a lot of flex in the body panels here. I was really surprised at how flimsy the steel felt and how cheap and plastic that ABS does. That's going to get just ate up if you have salt or mag chloride. And again, the bar that's in between the headlights just makes no sense to me. Ram's always been notorious for having those big, huge headlights, and they just shrunk it down and kind of added a bump in the grill. But fit and finish-wise, it really does not feel like the Rams of 2016 and prior. I think they were better back between 12 and 16, and then 17 wasn't bad. But you can see right here that we got a spot basically of like chrome. It's not supposed to be satin, and it's already kind of got striations in it. Just really disappointing to see that the quality control just isn't quite there. And, you know, at the end of the day, this is one of their top trims. The Longhorn and then the Limited, one's kind of cowboy-esque, and the other one is basically city kind of truck guy. But I mean, all of those plastics are moving with just the faintest little press, and that to me does not sing 90K to 100K. But, you know, at the end of the day, everything else just basically stayed the same. That top of that grill right there by that cowling was actually flexing. It was just a little bit of pinky pressure, and it was just really, really kind of disappointing there. I expected much more. Climbing inside, too, the leather feels about the same as it did in the Laramie and the Limited. I feel no difference. No more stitching. They got some weird cloth right here, and it matches up to leather, which is fine because that kind of matches it. But you know, when you could get one of the Longhorn Laramies or Limited, it smelled like a saddle. The leather, it's not there anymore. We got stamping here, no stitching. So it's just kind of a stamp in that leather. But really what I was expecting, it just wasn't there when it came to feeling that different or smelling that nice cab that like you used to. I think they've went cheaper and figured a way to do it. We've got some fake wood accents here by the cup holder. Our standard charge points, again, the large cowling hump in the crew cab model in the back takes away from leg room, and that's kind of a bummer there, you know. And it's just one of those things where you hop in a $95,000 truck and you want to feel like it's something special. It is a nice truck, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, it is not much better than a Laramie if you're asking me. As you pan through here, he's got the cup holders that come down, having a similar problem here like the Chevys. They don't go all the way back in, at least this specific truck didn't. And then you have the cutout here where if somebody's got longer legs in the middle, they have to deal with the hump and the cutout of the seat for thigh support. So to me, it just didn't make sense for this call this a brand new 2025 Ram when it really wasn't. You know, and here's my face kind of talking about it so loud there, just decided to voice over. But this crew cab with the sunroof has so little headroom, and that's why they have that bump up there. But it feels tight back there. It feels claustrophobic. You know, if you have the mega cab, it'll be a little bit better. But at the end of the day, it's, you know, they really needed to step up and change the actual, you know, headroom, the cab, the seats. They needed to change some of the body panels. They just didn't. And I get it. Stellantis has their own woes right now where, you know, they're just trying to pump out their bread and butter winner, which is their trucks and Jeep, of course. And this is not going to blow anybody away when it comes to their changes. They think they can add a spare screen in here in the dash for your, you know, your passenger to play around on the maps or the radio or stuff. And to me, it's just, you actually lost that little glove box, and that's disappointing to have this extra screen, which is just another thing to break, another thing, everything to have problems with. As you go through, they did upgrade their actual system this year to a larger screen, but you know, Uconnect is glitchy, and if you go in one of these upper trim ones, you're going to have a soft button within the screen for your exhaust brake and park sensors and trailer gain. And guess what? When that system crashes or locks up, you don't have access to those while you're towing, so it doesn't make a lot of sense. Ram's got their own little towing helper down there. It's a tiny little knob for everything else in this truck being big. Makes no sense. Being the Laramie Longhorn, you do have that satin trim in there. It's fine. They got their standard of flare when it comes to the backup cameras. The screen in this truck wasn't fully functional, meaning the key was on, so you could do a few things. But, you know, at the end of the day, I don't need a bigger screen. I don't need an extra screen in there when Uconnect already has a lot of glitches and locks up quite a bit. So to me, that didn't make a lot of sense at all. And stereo's good as always, but, you know, at the end of the day, that is what it is. Just a little bit of a walk around here. This is part of the 25 Ram Tungsten. You know, to kind of throw it in here, I wanted to put this part in the video so I could show you the big differences between the Ram 2500. And you can see the headlights bigger in the half ton. If they could have just taken these tweaks from the half ton, which they redesigned a few years ago, gave the buyers that bigger crew cab, I'm telling you, it would have made a huge difference. You know, Ram's coming out with their little split tailgate. I'm not a fan with it. There'll be other videos on that. But you can see right here, this is some of the tungsten pieces. But at the end of the day, the door handles are different. The switches look better. How storage ran is much better. But really, at the end of the day, the dash and stuff, they made work from the half ton. When they brought it over, they made it work. The seats in the tungsten obviously are really nice. But again, those are about the same size. That really didn't change. The real flare comes in the back seat because really they made the half ton insides, the interior basically work in the heavy duties when they said they redid the heavy duties, and they really just made it fit. You can see right here, if you really go look at a 3/4 ton, it's not quite the same when it comes to the dash. It's very similar. They do pull off a good show when it comes to that, but you can completely tell that the half ton, they went all in on it and tweaking and turning and twisting things. And then when they came to the HDs, they just kind of made it work in there. And that's fine, I guess, for most people. You know, if you don't have a lot of taller people, then the standard crew cab and the HDs would work for you. But, you know, they just kind of fell short here. Here in a second, I'll get in the back seat of this half ton and show you. But the half ton has a little bit wider cab, a little bit thicker. And in the crew cab half ton, you can see that there's no cut in. And interesting enough, this truck is as much as a Cummins Diesel. So I wouldn't necessarily swing on this tungsten, but we'll have other videos on the tungsten coming up. So that's really not a big deal. Just want to kind of bring it in and kind of show you, if they would show us the belt trims and changes in that back seat, that you could actually do it. But a $92,000 half ton, yikes! I don't think that would be for me. The truck doesn't have a lot of capabilities when it comes to that. But here we're finally getting the back seat. You can kind of see how the door panels have changed, and storage has changed quite a bit. But look at this half ton seat in here in the back. Now that's a speaker on the tungsten, so that will intrude in a little bit in the half ton. But I mean, look at that flat four back there, and the actual 3 full seater crew cab truck, and that makes sense to me. And that way, that console doesn't protrude into the middle passenger's room, but an actual tall human can use that middle seat. And you could just see that they've just fallen back and fallen short on getting the HD where it really needs to go, because you could tell that this cabin has some nice touches. Look at the headroom with a pano. I mean, you actually get a higher roof line too for the backseat passengers. So it's just one of those things where, we bring this in because for years we've been hoping that they would bring this over to the HD trucks, and they just haven't. See those belt trims too, they've changed on the half ton. The ones on the Ram currently and in the past are going to fall apart, and no matter what trim of the half ton you really get, it's really going to be just a bigger and better upgrade over what the looks of the HDRs. I mean, they could have taken the headlight assembly on that, stretched it, made it a little bit taller for the HDs, and not went just with this massive grille that has so much piano black on it, or fake chrome. It doesn't make much sense. And we'll break down all of these in the other videos, but I mean, the body lines on the half ton look better. The way the hood lines down looks better, and they're already stamping the steel, so it kind of blows my mind that they haven't found a way to get the HD to look like it. I mean, they got the HD mirrors on this half ton. I mean, so really, is it laziness? Is it money? Is it company woes that's keeping them from bringing the HD truck up to this level? At the end of the day, it makes no sense to me why they would do it. The half tons look really good in the way they're coming up, but even different bed stamping, sheet metal on the bed, it's a huge difference.